here, Paranormal Roundtable. So, I wanted to talk at you for just a second here. I got a lot going on, and I got to get everybody ready. I wanted to give you guys a story. Well, I don't like calling them stories. As of late, my detractors, in particular, these people who make it their life to attack other channels and don't really do any work themselves, have taken to calling people like me storytellers, glorified storytellers. In fact, glorified though, that's cool. At least they gave me that much. They're giving me a little bit of a bump there by saying that I'm glorified. So, what I wanted to talk about is that we got some exciting news, and if you stick around for the news, then I'll give you a story. Um, First thing I want to do is let you know that my friend Barton Nunley, he went live this afternoon. He did like one of those walkarounds. It was really cool, but he got stuck with a bunch of nettles, and so yeah, he was live earlier, and he mentioned on there that he was going to be on Blondes and Booze tonight along with me, and that is true. Some people were messaging me about that, asking me if he was going to be on there because he said that we were going to be co-hosting. Yes, that is true. We're both going to be on there tonight, so don't want to miss that. You definitely want to be on there. Greg Ogles is going to be the guest, and myself and Barton will be co-hosting with the ladies from Blondes and Booze, Krista and Brandy. And so that is happening tonight. So make sure I'll go back over these things really quickly before we, after we are done with the encounter story. Also, people are asking about the music. We've had a lot of people actually really, really liking the music. The music is something that's happening like every day. We're working on it, and it is an album. Just so you know, it was like written, and everything is done by my wife. Or like she isn't the one that's singing, but it's all her work basically being put into these songs. She's doing the lyrics, and she's decides how it sounds, the music and everything else. So she's doesn't do the music or the vocals, but she's the one that's got the say, and like she knows what she wants, and it's happening. So we have 4 songs out now. The 4th song will premiere tomorrow on the intro, which is a vampire song, and it's really good. I like it. I think it's really cool. I helped a little bit with the lyrics on this one, not much. Can't take much credit for it. But the werewolf song, I did have some input on that and how it sounded. That is the 3rd one I think we released. No, the 2nd one we released. The 3rd one was the night visitors, the aliens. And then we have another one that's coming out, and it's I don't remember the name of it. I think it's called The Curse or something like that. It's like a mummy song. And then another one called The Bear King. Those are the ones that are going to be released. I think there's going to be like altogether 8 or something like that released this month. I'm not sure if that we'll release the other ones this month or next month, but they are part of a collective, and it is called Paranormal Sound Table. So if you're interested in that, they are going to be sold separately, and I believe as an album on Spotify. I think you can stream it, and then Apple iTunes. We already have the first song, The Haunting, and the second, I guess it would be in the release order, the second would be the werewolf song. And that one is called The Change. The vampire song is called The Hunger. So you have The Haunting, The Change, The Hunger. I can't remember if the mummy one is going to be called The Curse or whatever. I had a lot of input on that one. But anyway, the Bear King, that was my idea, and it's based on these sightings and encounters of the bear men. In particular, here in Central Texas, there's a legend called the Bear King. But it is, you'll see, it's like basically a Viking-based song because the berserkers, the bears, and so it's pretty cool. And if you check it out, I hope you like it. And so go check that out. And I don't know exactly when we're going to premiere that one on the show or if we are at all. But anyway, it's basically Paranormal Roundtable music. It's called Paranormal Sound Table. I was thinking about calling it Paranormal Round Records. It's like the record label, but I got voted down, so I guess it's going to be Paranormal Sound Table. I guess this was going to be fine, whatever. And then we have some new encounters that we're going to be talking about coming up pretty soon. One in particular is from Eastern Europe, and it is a vampire encounter, and it is probably one of the scariest I've ever heard. And that's going to take up an entire hour long episode. That will be coming out not next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after. So check that out. This episode we dropped on Tuesday, The Werewolf Among Us, did really well. It's a really good one. Check it out. But I got to say, the AI episode we just didn't get a lot of traction. I think it's only got like 3,000 views, something like that. Which typically we get 4 to 5,000 pretty quick on the first, on the first whatever. But I will say that is the last of the 3 interviews we did with Steven Seagal. And that one is not really an interview. We were pretty much done with the interviewing. It was just me and him and Anthony kind of co-hosting together and talking about AI. And so I do involve some encounters that we had and even got into a little bit of Dogman on that episode. So if you're interested in checking that out, go and check out. I strongly encourage you to check out the one about AI. It's called AI Apocalypse. And a lot of times the title or what people perceive to be the subject will doom an episode from the beginning. And I got to say, some of the best episodes and some of the ones I've enjoyed the most, and I believe are some of the better episodes, tend to get pushed to the back just because for whatever reason people don't have an interest in going and checking it out. And I think it's a big mistake especially on this one. You guys got to check it out. It's really, I think it's very informative. And if you're someone like me who's concerned with where we're headed and what's going to happen in the future, you should check it out. And there's a lot of really good information there that I think that if you are a Paranormal Roundtable supporter, paratrooper, aficionado, whatever, member, you should check that episode out because it'll keep you abreast. And then it also kind of leads into what we're talking about on the Saturday shows about the alien abduction and things like that. It kind of ties into that too, like the AI. A lot of the stuff we're going to talk about on Saturday, that's another thing. It does involve alien abduction, so be sure and check out the Saturday show, which is the UAP project. But you can call it unidentified aerial phenomena, you can call it unidentified alien presence, whatever you want to call it. That's going to happen. Another thing too, people have been asking me about the workout videos, about doing or showing a video of my workout, especially since this last round of attacks. People claiming that I can't do what I say I can do. Well, I'm going to show you. I'm going to prove it. And it's not to prove it really so much as it's just to give people who want to work out and want to lift and they want a routine. What we're going to do is go through each of the workout stations. On an upper body workout, I could do anywhere from 30 to 40 upper body exercises, typically consisting of 3 sets of 20. Sometimes I will just sit down and just do whatever station I'm at and do 40, 60 reps. So I made the claim on there that I could lift 225 40 times. That's not a joke. The last time I did it on the straight bench, on the flat bench, it really tweaked my rotator cuff. But there's other ways to prove it. I mean, I can sit down with free weights on a Nautilus and I can even add weight to it so that it doesn't hurt my right rotator cuff, which seemed to be, when I did it 2 weeks ago, it actually kind of tweaked it a little bit. I don't think it was the number of reps or the weight. I think it's just the flat bench. For people who know, I'm not going to get into a big talk about it. I will talk about it on the video I make, and I will explain it to you. And I may just do the flat bench just to show you, but I don't want to do too much of it. And I would strongly suggest most people not doing it. If you're going to do lay down chest work, I would go with flies. It isolates the chest more anyway, but also it keeps your rotator cuff from being hurt. But even that could hurt you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to incorporate an exercise that you can do. I'm going to show you that can actually strengthen that little inner strap muscle in your shoulder so that you don't hurt yourself doing flat bench, because flat bench is a mess. It is something that I've stayed away from for years and years unless I'm doing it for a purpose or reason. which I haven't had much lately. Until a couple weeks ago, I just said, you know what, let's see what I can do, and I did it. And I didn't think to pull out a phone and camera and video it, you know. So this guy that looks like he has lice in his beard got on his show and called me all kinds of names and hoaxer and everything else. Well, the funny thing is about that, like he's not calling the people that have been attacking me hoaxers when they actually went out and were caught on camera hoaxing, and he's like, I guess, aligned himself with them, which is really sad because he's attacking me and calling me all these things, but yet the people that really did do the hoaxing, he's not even holding them accountable. But such is the internet. That's how it goes. So a lot of people have pointed that out to me and said some things. He even begins his video with, I don't know much about this wolf guy, and then he goes into attacking me for an hour and a half. Yeah, bearded lady. He looks like a lady, but anyway, he's just laughing and smirking the whole time he's doing it. So he really gets off and enjoys it, but don't take it personal because he does this to a lot of people. Like his whole channel, his whole shtick. And like I said before, it's not just him. There's a whole bunch of them that do this. I'm not talking about me, but they'll just get on there and their whole channels, I was pointed out to about a dozen of them. All they do is just go around and attack other people. That's all they do. Their whole channels are just dedicated to attacking people. That's all they do. And I actually corresponded with one of these guys at one point and thought he was cool, whatever. And then, you know, he went off and attacked Melba Ketchum, and I saw it on there, and I was like, that's not cool. And she gets enough flack and heat already as it is. And she's a friend of mine, and so I didn't appreciate that. But I can't control what these people do. I can't control what anybody says or does or thinks. All I can do is take care of me and what I got to deal with. And what I got to deal with is a plate full of stuff. And I don't have time to police the internet and and tell these people, you know, hey, you know, stop attacking people, whatever. They're going to do what they're going to do. There's nothing we can do about it. So if you've seen the video and it upsets you or something, you know, you don't feel obligated to tell me, you know, like about it, because I know, okay, I already know. And so, you know, you don't need to anybody else needs to message me and say, hey, this guy did this, this, and that. I already know about it, and my team knows about it. So it's an ongoing thing. These people are never going to stop. They, you know, and he looks like a kind of person who, I mean, like in one of his videos that somebody took a screenshot of and sent it to me, like there's like piles of clothes in his house. Like that's a sign of mental illness. And so if you're a person and you're going around attacking people and your house looks like that, and it was a video where he was talking about how he choked out some guy, which I guess was a crackhead or something like that. And I'm like, wow, you're tough. You choked out a crackhead. But that gives you an idea of the kind of people that make these videos and do this. They literally live in squalor. Okay. And so, you know, like I'll just tell anybody who, you know, wants to know about that particular person, like he lives in squalor. And so, you know, when I saw that, I was like, dude, I'm not going to go back and forth with this guy. I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to give the link to his channel. That's what he wants. And they all do. And like I said, there's a bunch of these channels that are popping up. Like every day there's a new one that pops up. And like I said, they haven't really attacked me, but their whole thing is just attacking people. And they'll attack people that have been on my show, people that I'm friends with. They'll tell me, yeah, this guy made a video about me. And I'm just like, there's a different one, like every time. I mean, like, and they attack everybody in this field who does anything. And they typically will go after people who they deem to be the woo. So if you come to the realization of the truth, they attack you. It's like clockwork. What's really sad too is that their truths, what they believe that they're doing is some sort of righteous deal, and that they're going after all these fakers and hoaxers or whatever. But I don't see them really going after true fakers and hoaxers. I just see them going after people who they don't like because of their views. So that's pretty much what they are. For the most part, they are what we would call apers. But then again, they even attack the apers. So they're like a subset of apers who are cynics to the nth degree. They particularly hang out with and hang in a group called the Coalition for the logical thinking or something Bigfoot. I can't remember the name of it, and it's this one guy that's in charge of it. But that's where they typically come out of, and they're all kind of like friends, and they pick out people that they think are doing work, real work, I guess. And if they're successful, well, you get targeted. So honestly, I don't want to take it personal. I think these people are just this one guy. Like he just attacks a bunch of people. I mean, and it was just he hit me because he's a jealous little twerp, and I mean he's a little twerp. I mean, I'm not joking. This guy's like scrawny. So of course he's gonna say a bunch of hateful things. He's got like issues. But like I said, those people, there's a pack of them, and they roam around together. But then they also attack each other too. At different times, they have falling outs because anybody who's that nasty is going to have. I mean, I think they're mentally ill. A bunch of them are. So anyway, we have a bunch of stuff coming up. The live stream, the time change. We got to talk about the time change. There's going to be a time change for the Friday show because, yeah, exactly, Aloria, a cult within a cult. There's a time change coming up on Friday. Now, we have been kicking around this for a while, but we have to do it. Going in at 9 o'clock, 9:30 is too late. So it's just, we thought because it was a Friday, it would be okay to be later, but we've learned that going in earlier is better. So we're going to go in at 8, and we're going to see how that goes for a couple of weeks. And if it doesn't work, then we'll go in even earlier. But that's going to be what we're going to do for now. The live stream will be starting at 8 on Friday, which is tomorrow. Barton's got a show he's going to do tomorrow with somebody. And then after his show, then I'll be coming on and doing my show with somebody. I got a guest that'll come on and talk, and it should be good. So, and the Saturday show, of course, we're going to do the Saturday show, and then Sunday like usual. Conference update. After talking to my partners and constituents, we have tentatively decided that August would work better. I don't know for sure, but I think August is going to be, if not, it might be Labor Day weekend again. Labor Day weekend, if everybody that wants to go, it really says that saying that they're going to go goes. Like we got a lot of people that went last time, a few hundred people. So anyways, if you're somebody that wants to be a part of it, let me know. And we'll see what we can do. We may have to do Labor Day weekend again, just so we can accommodate all the speakers, and we can do it on Saturday and Sunday. One of the things I have to say though is if we're going to do it on just on a Saturday, we're not going to have as many speakers, so we're going to have less of a lineup than we did last year. But it'll still be a bunch of big names, heavy hitters, and it'll be like a family reunion, like it's been every year. And last but not least. Well, we already talked about that. So that's it. So what I got for you today in the way of a story, and I'm sorry that you had to sit there 18 minutes. People are probably like, oh, God, and they just can't stand that we talk about anything but encounters. And I'll tell you, if you're a person that just wants to listen to encounters, then go to the 1 hour episodes and just listen to people's encounters. That's all you got to do. Sometimes they're on there telling them themselves, and sometimes I'm retelling them. But the main thing is, if somebody sends you an email now, here's something that I got to say before I say anything else. I got viciously ripped apart by a person whose story I already told on this channel. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're way out of line for the way you talk to me. Yes, I accept an apology. You apologized, but it doesn't make it right. Okay. And people are starting to get this idea that, oh, you can talk to me any kind of way, trash me, say things publicly, and I'm just going to accept your apology and be friendly with you. No, that's not going to happen. I will accept your apology and forgive you, pray for you, whatever. But I'm not going to go and be cool with you after you did and said what you did. Yes, I told your story on the show. You didn't listen because you didn't listen to the live stream. All you listened to was the podcast episodes, and you weren't hearing your story. So this guy's story was told over a month ago. And a couple days ago, he lights me up in the email in all caps and calls me everything in the book. And then this morning, he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. And yes, I'm not going to say your name, but I told, like I said in the email, I'm going to say something because that's not correct. I'm not going to put up with that. Okay. So he has been banned from the chat, banned from, whatever. Apology accepted and forgiveness, yes, but you don't have to put up with abuse. And that was completely out of line. And it's his own fault. And he says, well, I gave it to you over 6 months ago. Dude, we're backed up. Okay, there's a lot of people giving us stories. You're not the only one who had an encounter. I get that your encounter was, it meant a lot to you. And I told it in the best way I could on the live stream. It meant a lot to you. I get it. But there are other people who do the same and feel the same way as you. And yours can't take precedence over everybody else's, man. I mean, and sometimes people get mad because I'll jump ahead. And if I get something that's pertinent to what we've been talking about, well, it might get pushed to the front. And then again, sometimes things get shuffled into files and they get hidden. So give you information. You can email me again. But there's ways to talk to people, man. There's ways to, you basically threaten me, dude. Like, seriously, like, I mean, over an encounter, I get it's an encounter. It's important to you. But that's not correct. That is not correct to talk to somebody like that. And like I said, I forgive you, but I'm never going to communicate with you again. And he subsequently went and said he's got it lined up to go talk to someone else about his encounter. Well, good for you. Go ahead. Tommy Gunn, I just saw this on the Bat Squatch. I was actually talking to Barton today about that. When he got off the live stream, he called me and we talked, and he is the one that's doing that story. So he'll be the one that gets it first. So I don't have that particular encounter. I know what you're talking about. The one where it attacked the prison bus or whatever. Yes, that's Barton's deal. That guy is actually he lives in his neighborhood. Or he lives like a few miles away, something like that. So he's somebody he knows in his everyday life. So anyway, here's what happened. I will get into the encounter. Oh, somebody sent me an encounter. Have you ever heard anything like this? This is really weird. And I wanted to ask you guys if you'd ever heard of anything like this before. He saw this Dogman looking creature. I say looking creature because I don't know what it was. This was up in Virginia. And he was hiking back to a cabin that he would use every year when he went hunting. This was in November. And he said it was cold as which is behind. And he said, man, I was hiking through and I see what first it looked like a giant porcupine, like it was hunched over like a ball. And he's like, and I didn't know what it was. He said, what was really weird though, is like I shone my flashlight on it and I just held it there. And he goes, and this was really weird. Like he said, dude, I just held it there. This happened in 1998. And he's like, and it was years and years ago. And he says, dude, I was just fixated on this thing. It was amazing. It was like this huge blondish haired porcupine looking quilled animal. And he's like, and then I heard a noise like a branch crack and I turned my flashlight away from it. He's like, and then I immediately looked back because I noticed that the quills of this supposed porcupine were glowing. Yeah, they were like white, like translucent white. And he goes, and then the tips of them were kind of sparkling. And I was like, what in the hell? He's like, so I'm looking at this giant porcupine looking thing. He's like, and the quills on this thing are massive. And he goes, and it looked just like a porcupine. But then he goes, as I held the light on there, I see the head of where I think is the head should be. I see something pop out. He's like, and then I realize, he's like, that's not a porcupine. The head was canid, wolf-like. He goes, and I just sat there transfixed. And he said, then I see arms and legs. And he said, arms. And he says, I don't know if this is what you would consider to be a dogman. He said, but my wife, she listens to your show and she says, you should tell him about what you saw. And he said he had been debating for 2 years whether he should even be, bothered to tell me. This is what's weird, man. He said that when this thing like popped out, like the front limbs came out, he said they looked like arms, hairy, blondish colored arms. And then he said it lifted up and it began to move, like walk, like the arms. And he said that it was almost like sloth-like. The arms had really, really big claws. The back legs came up like a canine's, and it was like it moved kind of like it waddled back and forth. And then it kind of like the arms and legs straightened it up, and then it turned its head and looked at him. And he said it was canid, like just like a werewolf, like a wolf. And he said, if I had to tell you, I'd say it was a porcupine mixed with a wolf and a man. with weird looking quills. And I was just like, what the? So I'm going to probably retell this story on Sunday just because it's so weird to me. And he said that it just walked off into the woods, didn't really pay attention to him. The head was not ginormous. It wasn't like big. It wasn't like these snarling, growling, looking, slobbering creature. It was just a weird looking thing. And he turned and he said it looked at him. He got a good side look at it, and it startled him because the head was wolf-like, and the arms made it look like a man. But the back legs were dog-like, whatever, and then the back of it was just covered with quills, like a hedgehog or a porcupine. And it just waddled on down the hill, and it was gone. So if you ever heard of anything like that, that is the only story I've ever gotten. One time I was with two of my friends, a guy that friend, I guess, used to work for me, and then Scorpio, and we were leaving a job site down Old San Antonio Road where people have reported a lot of weird stuff. And there was this gigantic porcupine that just came running out in front of our vehicle and then waddled off to the side of the road. Nothing paranormal or like cryptid or whatever. Maybe cryptid because I've never seen a porcupine that big. The porcupine was probably the size of an 18-inch tire. Like it was big and round. And I was just like, holy, I've never seen an animal that big. And we had cell phones and everybody was going to get out and take a picture, but it was waddled off the side of the road and went along the side. And then we drove up next to it and it went up into a little embankment and was gone. So crazy thing. It was definitely a porcupine. It wasn't anything, but it was so bizarre. And it was right after we crossed over this little bridge where a lot of people claim to have seen these blue and green orbs. People like to go fishing down there and they'll report it, seeing these orbs going across the water, and then there's been a Dogman or two report in that area along with Bigfoot. But yeah, it's a weird thing, man. I was sitting there and I was reading that story and I was just like, holy crap, man. So if anybody's ever seen anything like that or heard of anything like that, hit me up because I'd like to know more about it. And the weird thing about the quills being like translucent and like kind of lighting up, that really intrigued me like a lot because I got a Bigfoot story very similar to that out of North Carolina that somebody saw up in the north, of that state, and they said that there was a Bigfoot that like had like this illumination when they shone the light on it, and then when they moved their light away from it and back, like it was glowing. Like so, I thought that was pretty interesting because the thing started to come toward them, didn't run at them, but they turned to get away from it, and then when they shone their light back or whatever, they didn't see it right away, but they saw the illumination. And so very, very weird, very weird. So that illumination is intriguing. That's very intriguing. We'll talk about all this on Sunday. Check it out on Sunday. But for tonight, we got to interview Greg Ogles, and it's going to be awesome. Barton's going to be on there. We're going to have a great time with Blondes and Booze, Krista and Brandy. Go check out Blondes and Booze, folks. It's going to be great. And then tomorrow night, live stream. I got a really good guest. She's got some Bigfoot stuff going on, and then and Dogman, and then we got Saturday the alien abductions UAP project Truth and Bass from Impromptu Truth are going to be on. They're going to be my guests. They're abductees, and I think Chris James is going to be back too, the co-host with me, and then Sunday me, Anthony, and Tony chopping it up like we do. So. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening and tuning in. We appreciate all the support. Thank you for everybody who's been joining the Patreon. We've had a few new members this past week. Check out the Patreon. It's a good way to support the show. There's a bunch of different tiers that you can join. And so that's it. Thank you and good night.